There it is. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to presentation.
Okay.
All right, well, welcome everyone. It's good to see so many of you here tonight, and thanks for joining us virtually as we work on kicking off the tax season, which officially opened today. I'd like to introduce you. Many of you know Jeremy left over the summer, and we're still working on filling that position. But in the meantime, this is the VITA team for this season. I'm the president of United Way, and during the VITA season, I'll be the supervisor for the program at New Hope and Center City, not to be confused with site coordinators. Paula Smalling is our program manager in education, but she's also our resident expert in volunteers, and she'll be doing the volunteer coordination, helping with paperwork and keeping you all scheduled. And Luciana Ruffalo is our grants manager at United Way, and she's taken on the role of liaison with the IRS and learning all things TaxSlayer, and she'll be helping you with TaxSlayer. Hopefully no issues, just logging in and getting started. So thanks again for joining us tonight. These are some of the things we wanted to talk about. Just a quick overview of how the season's going to go. We want to introduce our site coordinators for New Hope and Center City. We want to talk about the protocols for drop-off, since not being face-to-face is new this year, as well as how we're going to communicate with taxpayers. We have a lot of COVID safeguards set up, so we wanted to make you aware of all of those provisions that we put in place, and then talk about some extras, information, and what to bring to the site. If you're new to our organization, the mission of United Way of Passaic County is to improve the lives of people in Passaic County by mobilizing the caring power of our community. And one of the best ways that we do that is bring volunteers together to help people get some control over the financial aspects of their life with free tax preparation. So we're so happy that you have volunteered to be a part of that. This year, we'll be in Patterson Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and Saturdays, roughly 9 to 3. And we'll be at New Hope in Prospect Park on Saturdays from 9 to 3. As mentioned, we'll be using something called a drop-off model. So we will not have clients sitting across the desk from us for tax preparation. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that is going to flow. So this is kind of a drop-off is a hybrid between face-to-face and full virtual. Paula Salazar is here. She'll be the site coordinator in Patterson, so say hello, if you can. And did Angelica come online yet?
No, she's not.
Okay, so Angelica will be the site coordinator for New Hope. She was there last year as well. So one of the things that we know about our taxpayers is that there's not a lot of proficiency with using internet and technology. And so when we were trying to figure out how to go to a more virtual model for tax preparation, we knew that we couldn't ask clients to do things like upload their documents to a server for us to work on their return. We knew that they would need some help with that. So we came up with the drop-off protocol, which is one of the models that the IRS suggests and supports, and a lot of other sites are using as well. So Luciana is going to walk us through how this procedure will work.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. So this slide just provides us a little bit of an overview on how we foresee the intake process going. So with the drop-off site model, taxpayers will come to the site twice, once to complete the intake process and provide their documents, and then a second time after their return has been completed to review and sign their return. So before their initial intake interview, they will all receive an email or some type of communication that will tell them what to expect when they come and remind them of all the important documents they need to bring with them. We're trying to make sure that that intake appointment can go as smoothly as possible, so there doesn't need to be a lot of back and forth between the site coordinator, the you guys, the preparer, and the volunteers. So when they show up at the site, they're going to be given the intake form, the 13614C, which I'm sure all our returning preparers are familiar with. So they'll be given that form to complete, as well as something that's a little bit new this year is an expanded form 14446, or it's a virtual consent form. So that form just provides a little bit of an overview of what the drop-off model will be and how we're going to communicate with them to do their taxes. So once they sign that consent form, we can then proceed with the tax preparation process. So while they're completing their intake form, we will take from them, they will either be copied or scanned at the site, and then the originals will be returned to them. At that point, they should have completed their intake form. It'll be reviewed for completeness. Any of those maybe questions will get changed to a yes or no question. And then the taxpayer, we'll just go over with them what the communication process will be. Because they won't be face-to-face with you guys while you're preparing the returns, we need to have, the IRS has dictated that we need to have a process in place that the communication is safe and secure, and that whenever you make a phone call, you're sure that you're talking to a taxpayer and not the wrong person. So before they leave the site, they'll be informed that we'll talk to them by phone and to provide us with a PIN. The PIN that we're going to assign to every taxpayer is the last 4 digits of their phone number. So we'll let them know we're going to ask you for a PIN when we call. It's the last 4 digits of your phone number. So this way we have some assurance that we're talking to the right person when we make the phone call. After that process is done, the taxpayer will leave the tax site. Then the return preparation process can start. If the return is being prepared by someone who's on site, you can use copies of the documents that were made to go through the return and to do quality review of the return. If the return is being prepared or quality reviewed by a volunteer that's not present at the site, those documents would need to be scanned and uploaded into TaxSlayer. So this year, TaxSlayer expanded access to the scan document program. So you can scan their supporting documents directly into the tax return when you start the return. There's a little tutorial on it on Link and Learn if you want to take a look at that. And there's also a handbook on it that we'll have at the sites. It's a pretty easy, it looks like a pretty simple process. All the documents just need to be PDFs, and there's a 5 megabyte limit per document, and up to 5 documents could be scanned into a return. So probably multiple documents in one PDF could be scanned in. And then, so that's, I guess we can move on to the next slide, Emma. So as I kind of mentioned before, we're foreseeing that if you need to clarify any information with the taxpayer while you're preparing the return, that we will contact them by phone. There will be phones available at the sites for you guys to use to contact the taxpayer. We don't want or expect anyone to be using their personal phones to reach out to taxpayers. All communication with them should be done either through the phones at the site or through Skype or some other web-based phone service. Since you're not in person with the taxpayer and they can't see your ID badge, one of the first steps you'll have to do when you do reach out to them is just identify yourself by your first name, last initial, and that you're from, you're a volunteer with the United Way VITA program. Basically, anything that would be on your name badge, you just need to verbally state when you make that initial phone call with the taxpayer. After you identify yourself, you'll ask them to provide you with their PIN. Once they give you the correct PIN, you can just, go on with your phone conversation with them to ask them any information you need to get through the return process. Once the tax return has been prepared and quality reviewed, the taxpayer will then be contacted to schedule a pickup appointment where someone will review their return with them and they will sign off on it for e-file. Once the return is successfully e-filed and accepted, then at that point, any hard copies of the taxpayer supporting documents will be shredded. So there'll be a secure shred box at the site, or if any documents were scanned into TaxSlayer, they'll be deleted out of TaxSlayer. TaxSlayer will automatically delete any scanned documents at 14 days after upload. So we kind of do have a window that we need to get the returns completed in before we lose any scanned documents. But the IRS is expecting that we will delete them faster than that once we no longer need them and returns are successfully e-filed. I guess next slide.
Okay, so since many of you will be at the tax site with us, we wanted to talk with you about the COVID safeguards that we have in place. By now, a lot of this is standard, but just to review, the first thing we've done is we're doing our best to minimize face-to-face contact. So we're keeping those interactions as short and distanced and guarded as possible. We will have signage that masks are required, and that's for both volunteers and clients. Sanitizing supplies will be available, so hand sanitizer and wipes. The intakes will be happening in separate areas. So at Center City Mall, clients will check in by the front door of that room. We have the same space as last year, so they'll check in. We'll provide them with the intake forms, and then they will sit out in the main area of the mall, that hallway area, to do their paperwork. New Hope has a freestanding building and a parking lot. and we've arranged for clients to stay in their car, and we'll go out to them and provide the same intake paperwork. We will do temperature checks for everyone, taxpayers and volunteers. Of course, if you have any symptoms that you're sick, please don't come. And please contact Paula if you're sick or for some other reason that you can't come on your scheduled day. Please contact Paula so that we can fill your spot. And lastly, we'll have fewer volunteers on site, and the desks are spread pretty far apart, and we have plexi shields to use on those surfaces as well. All right, last few things. You need to bring photo ID with you when you come to the site. For scheduling, we will send you a link and ask you to sign up for the days that you want to be volunteering. Please send Paula all your tax certifications, and then when you finish all of those, the form 13615, which is your, what is that called, a volunteer form?
It's the volunteer agreement form. Yeah.
You also received a volunteer survey that was emailed to you. It's a link to a SurveyMonkey form. Please make sure that you send that to us as well. And lastly, because some of you will be working multiple sites, please make sure that you log in on that day with the site ID for the site that you're at. So you'll have two numbers depending on if you're at New Hope or Center City. And your login information will come to you in an email from Luciana. Anything else on that, Luciana or Paula?
No, just the photo ID is a new requirement this year, that before we sign the form 13615, we need to see a copy of photo ID, and that the form 13615, your volunteer agreement, needs to have your legal name on it as it appears on any government issued ID. So that is a new requirement this year and a change from previous years. So your name badge will also have to have your legal name on it too. That's just a new requirement from the IRS this year. That's a little different for any returning volunteers. So that's why we're asking for the photo ID. Once you bring it in the first time and we verify you're who you are, your initial time at the tax site, you won't need to bring it for other, we won't need to see it for other times you're volunteering, but just that initial visit and signing of the form 13615, which we'll have copies of for you to sign your first day at the site.
All right, so I'm going to come out of presentation mode so that we can see everyone for questions. So any questions? All makes sense? Ready to roll? Ellen, you look like you're thinking.
I do have a question. So when does the Patterson site open? And I think New Hope opens this Saturday, correct?
Yes, we're ready to roll with New Hope on Saturday, and we're still trying to confirm staffing for Patterson.
Oh, Donna had a comment, so I think she's ready to come in on Saturday based on the COVID protocol. So
That'd be great. We'd love to see
that
you.
would be great, Donna. So Saturday at Prospect Park. What's the address? We're trying again. Does everyone know? I know Helen and David are scheduled to be there this Saturday.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll look it up.
Oh, Donna was there last year. She knows where it is. But David and Helen.
Yes, I was there
Great.
a couple of
Oh,
years ago,
okay.
so I am familiar. Thanks.
Okay.
David,
Sorry,
we'll
but
get you that.
I'll email David. I'll email you the address along with your tax layer sign in. So it's at, oh, here it is. It is at 331 North 11th Street in Prospect Park is our New Hope site. And the Center City Mall site is at 301 Main Street.
Are we also going to have like parking vouchers for the Patterson site, like we used to before?
Mhm.
Yeah. So yes, for any new volunteers come to the Patterson site, there is a underground parking deck at the mall where the site is located. The site is on the P level of the mall. Let's see if I remember, it's been a while. So you just keep walking straight, right, Yvonne? Past, what stores are still there? Past the Verizon store and then you get to the
AT&T.
storefront. AT&T is still
No,
there.
Verizon's closed, but AT&T is still there. So walk past AT&T towards a bunch of empty stores and then you'll find it. New volunteers, any questions about how it goes? Okay. Well, we're excited to kick off and the community is anxiously awaiting the start of the season. The phone's been ringing quite a bit. So we're really happy to get started. And since Paula, Luciana, and I are new to this, we're happy to start a little bit smaller at New Hope and then get the Patterson site open. Anything else, Paula, Luciana?
No, if you guys are, they'll be available at the tax site for everyone to look at, but the VITA TCE blog is a really good resource about any kind of current changes or tax alerts. As you're probably all aware, the start of the filing season got pushed back this year because of the end of year stimulus package and kind of last minute tax law changes. So we will have those tax alerts at the tax site for you guys to look at every time you come in. And we'll highlight some of the more relevant alerts that have come through in the past few weeks. That'll be there for you guys to look at. For new volunteers, taxpayer support, so far this season I found has been pretty good for questions. So we'll make sure to, share with everyone, the most up-to-date information that we're getting from the IRS and tax layer about the tax season so far.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Hi, so is the Patterson Center, the site, is it open this Saturday or will you let us know when?
Yeah, we'll let you know. We're not opening it this Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And also, if you have any questions after this presentation, please feel free to email us. If you think of something after tonight, we're all here to answer the questions the best we can.
All right, thanks again, everyone. We're looking forward to seeing you at the sites.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, shit. Share your emails.
Oh, yeah, I'll type by email in the chat box for everyone.
I think everyone has mine.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Donna.